officer?
Good afternoon. I'm Robert Hurst, Public Information Officer for the Texas Department of Criminal Justice here in Centerville, Texas, where the search for Gonzalo Lopez continues. We've got over 300 officers that are on the ground searching for Gonzalo Lopez, who escaped from us Thursday afternoon at about 1:20 in the afternoon after he had commandeered a transport bus for about a mile after getting into a fight with one of our officers who was driving the bus and another officer who was in the back of the bus, who quickly and heroically and smartly decided to shoot out the back tires of the bus as it was driving down the highway. He had gotten out of the back of the bus through the emergency door, shot out the tires. Lopez then lost control of the bus on the side of the road. The officers caught up to him. When they did catch up to him, he was running across a cow pasture northbound. They did fire shots at him, but to our knowledge, we don't believe he was hit. Since Thursday afternoon, we've had numerous law enforcement agencies, along with the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, who are involved in this search for him in an area just west of Centerville. Today, we are continuing the search with officers on foot, as well as support from the Texas Department of Public Safety with their helicopter and some thermal imaging looking down on the ground in an attempt to locate him. Our intelligence tells us that he is still in this area. We do not believe that he has left this area, so we are concentrating on continuing to look for him here. We also want to thank the numerous donations that have come in from private citizens, as well as our friends in law enforcement, donations of food, water, other resources that are helping us in this search, helping in the continuation of this search. We cannot thank them enough. Of course, the Texas Department of Criminal Justice has those resources at our fingertips, but it always helps when our friends in law enforcement and the public come forward and help us out with those donations as well. So that's what I can tell you right now. It's getting warm out here, as it has been for the last couple of days. So we're hopeful that we can locate him today. It's been going on since Thursday afternoon at about 1:45. We have not let up. This has been a search going morning, noon, and night. So 24 hours a day, round the clock. So that's what I have for you right now. Any questions?
You mentioned that you guys are using kind of a way to track them by thermal energy. Are you guys utilizing drones by any sense, or a new technology?
It's a helicopter from the Texas Department of Public Safety that we're using with their assistance. They're the ones that are really involved in that. To my knowledge, no drones are being used. It's all helicopters. Also, the officers on foot that are sweeping through the search area, they're keeping an eye out, obviously. Also got officers on horseback that have been going through the area, as well as the canines. You can hear them baying in the background here. So with all of those resources, we are hopeful that we're going to find him pretty soon. When we get intelligence that tells us he's not here. And right now, Clay, we're not getting anything that tells us otherwise.
Any other advice for residents who live in the immediate area on just being safe? They need to either shelter in place, or if they live nearby the search area on staying safe?
I think you can see the roadblock behind me. The DPS is operating. They're pretty familiar with who lives back here in this area by now. So anybody that does live back in there, check in with DPS, see if they'll let you back into your home. There's not a lot of people that live back here, but those that do, they're well aware of what we're doing and what's going on, and they're being cooperative with us in what we're trying to accomplish.
So you told us too last week about how he was able to cut through the gate and get access to the driver. Anything new on how he made this escape?
It's still an ongoing investigation. The two officers that were on the bus, Officer Breiniger and Officer Smith, Officer Breiniger was the one who smartly decided to shoot out the tires with his shotgun. After he had gone out the back door, the emergency back door. He was the one that smartly decided to shoot out those back tires. If he had not done that, there's no telling where this situation might be right now. Officer Smith, who was able to struggle with Lopez on the ground. He tried to get Officer Smith's gun. Officer Smith made sure that that did not happen, and in the process of doing that, Lopez stabbed him in the left hand, also stabbed him in the chest, but he's doing fine. He's assisting with the investigation along with Officer Breiniger. Again, those two officers, we cannot say enough about how heroically they acted and made sure that this situation didn't become a lot worse. There were 15 other inmates on that bus. Had Lopez driven away in that bus with 15 inmates on it, we could be looking at an entirely different situation here. So those two officers are to be highly commended for their actions.
You want to tell us about the rewards here, how it's continued to go up on $50,000?
Yes, thank you. The reward is now at $50,000 for any information that would lead to the apprehension and conviction of Gonzalo Lopez. $50,000, that's a lot of money, and it would help us out a lot if anybody came forward with some credible information that would lead to his capture. So again, gotten some information that has come to us by way of Crime Stoppers and some tip lines. We have followed through on those tips. Unfortunately, none of them have come through, solidly. But again, we appreciate the public, listening to what we're asking them to do and coming forward and providing us with information that something might come through and be helpful to us. But right now, nothing has been concrete. But again, we appreciate the public listening to what we're asking them to do and coming forward with information.
It seems the local school districts were advised that they would be okay to continue with productivity today. What do you have to say in regards to them not being in the line of fire and allowing schools to get back to school today?
Well, the school districts made that decision after coordinating with us about what the situation is. That was a decision they made because a lot of these kids are looking at the last couple of weeks of school, especially the seniors. We know that they want to finish their school year out on a high note, and we're sorry that this has happened just west of Centerville, but the school districts made that decision, and if they hadn't made that decision, we could be looking at obviously a different situation, but that was their decision.
Is there anything that leads you to believe that Lopez had any help with this escape?
We've got an ongoing investigation, and right now there's a lot of information that's coming to us, but as far as help, there's nothing right now to indicate to us that he has gotten out of this area. So that's why we're continuing to search here. As far as anything goes with how he was able to cut the door open, he did that on his own from what we can tell. Whatever sharp object that was that he used to cut the bottom of that door open, it appears that, he did that on his own doing the cutting of the door because all the other inmates were still in their restraints. So to do that, he did that on his own.
I feel like with 15 other inmates on the bus, someone had to have seen something. Are you guys interrogating each inmate? Have they, confessed to have seen anything?
Again, being an ongoing investigation, I'm really not at liberty to discuss any information that has come forward, but we are talking that was on that bus.
I know you can't specifically say that, what maybe has been shared, but have you guys collected any good information to help the investigation?
Unfortunately, I'm not in a position to talk about that right now. And I appreciate your question, but unfortunately, I'm just not in a position to talk about that right now.
Any other updates right now for folks in this area?
I'm sorry, say it again, Clay?
Any other big updates for the folks in this area right now traveling through?
No, again, we would ask the public, if anybody sees anything or hears anything that could be credible, that would lead us to him, please give us a call, let us know so that we can follow through on it. We will take any phone call seriously, any tip that comes through seriously, and do what we can to locate him. This is a very dangerous man, very dangerous. I will say it once again. In 2004, he shot at a sheriff's deputy in Webb County. And then after that, in 2005, he kidnapped a man, demanded a ransom. That ransom was not paid. He then killed the man with a pickaxe. This is a very dangerous man. He's somebody not to be taken on by yourself. If you do see him, if you've got any information about him, do not try and take him on yourself. Call law enforcement, call 911. Let the proper authorities that know how to deal with someone like this do it. Don't try and take them on yourself, because it could bring terrible harm to you and your family. So I can't stress that enough. Again, a $50,000 reward for his apprehension and conviction. That's a lot of money, folks. So please consider that. Again, on the ground, I know we've got some folks that have just walked up here, so I'm going to repeat it. Today, we've got officers that are on foot that are walking through the area, along with officers on horseback and our canines, as well as the helicopters from the Department of Public Safety with some thermal imaging. We're doing everything we can to locate him, everything possible, because this is somebody that we need to get back in custody. He's a very dangerous man.
Why was he being moved from Gatesville to Huntsville?
Pardon me?
Why was he being moved from Gatesville to
He was on his way from Gatesville. He was at the Hughes unit in Gatesville. He was on his way to Huntsville for a medical appointment. So that's why he was being transported from Gatesville to Huntsville.
I know there's a lot of dedication in this effort to continue the search and make sure that he's found and back in custody. How long would you foresee this search going until you guys kind of suspend the search?
Until we get information that tells us he's not in this area. We will continue looking in this area until there's enough evidence to tell us he's no longer here. But right now, everything that we're hearing, everything that we're seeing tells us that he's still in this area. He's very crafty. He's done this before. Down in South Texas, there was one time that he hid from law enforcement for a few days. So we're aware of what his methods are. He will hide low, he will stay in the underbrush, and it's kind of a waiting game right now. It's us. Northbound through the cow pasture, he was wearing his white prison uniform. Nothing indicates right now that he's gotten out of that. We haven't located anything that would tell us he's shed his clothing.
And you mentioned earlier about the community support, kind of giving you guys, donating water and food to help you guys in the search. How does it feel to know that you guys have the community support to continue the search?
Let's wait for this truck.
Yeah.
And for the viewers that are wondering why we're set up here, it's because the roadblock back here, this is the roadblock. Highway 7 is shut down going westbound. So all of the commercial traffic that's not seeing the highway signs that 7 is closed down is coming down here, and they're being turned around by the Department of Public Safety at the roadblock right behind us. Your question about the donations. We are very grateful to the other law enforcement agencies as well as the private citizens who have come forward with donations of water, food, other things that are very helpful to us in keeping our personnel fresh and rested and ready to go. So again, our appreciation is unending. Thank you so much.
Now, do you all believe he is possibly in this area for the first time?
I can't hear you. You got to talk louder.
Now, do you all believe that since the first time he escaped, he was in this area? Is that why you all think the second time again he may still be in the same area for you all to find him?
Yes. To our knowledge, he is still in this area. There's nothing to indicate that he's left this area. Are we good? All right, folks. Thank you. I'll have another briefing for you later this afternoon.
Okay.